Hey guys, in Warborne Above Ashes, players were asking me how to get into PvP content consistently, whether it be 1v1 content, ZVZ content, or anything in between. The best ways that I have found, typically speaking, are to roam around for most content types, regardless of player size, at least outside of Wartimer. So, for example, these swords on this map mean that there are some kind of combat going on here. If you see them consistently in an area, chances are that if you go there, you'll end up finding some kind of PvP, although the scale and group size is hard to determine unless you're in the map. One of the ways to figure out if it is worth going there or being in combat in general in the zone that you're in is by using a heartbeat sensor. Heartbeat sensors can be researched at the research center on the third page here, I think. Nope, the last page, right here, called heartbeat detector. Once you unlock this research, you can come over to the supply depot, and in the supply depot, you can make them. It costs 50 resin, which you acquire from taking trees down, and 200 scrap iron, which you get from scrap iron on the map, the ore nodes. One heartbeat detector will last every 10 seconds. Will last up to 90 seconds, and every 10 seconds will show you up to 10 targets on the map. The heartbeat detector shows like a little red dot. Let me see if I can just use one real quick, and then I'll show you what it looks like. I'll just waste one for the sake of this video. I don't know if there's going to be anybody literally right outside my house. It's 0 to 5 in zone. What it does is it puts a little red dot on the map. I'm going to use it anyway. Just see. Can't use while mounted. Okay. Note to self. Can't use it while mounted. This is what heartbeat detector does. So I know now that there are 2 enemy players in this map, and it goes up to 10 players. It'll show where they are every 10 seconds, so it'll real-time update. I see that there is combat here in the zone, so that enemy player is fighting was a blue player on in the zone that I'm in. What that means though is that if I go there, I'll be able to fight those people. I can consistently get PvP doing that while you're roaming around the map or taking your friends and doing whatever. We usually go in like a really big circle. Every time you get into a zone, if there's a bunch of people in the zone, you can use heartbeat detectors to figure out if those players are coming to you, how many of them there are to like a certain degree, as long as they don't have a blob. A blob is a big circle of a color on the map that will show you where a mass number of players are. You'll typically see these a lot during wartime. And in order to get to the objectives during wartime for your faction, just ask in faction chat. Even if you're not in a warband and you're a solo player and you want to go play with the group and you want to play with the faction that you're in, if you ask in faction chat, most of the time they'll tell you where they need additional players or additional bodies, as the game is very built around having as many people in the same spot working together as possible. While you're roaming around as a small group, one of the things that you can do is go rift diving. Danger rifts can spawn in the verge zones. If you have a small group, you can go into them. They're usually pretty decent money, but the legendary equipment blueprint potential in them is worth knowing about. It's hit or miss in rifts, in my opinion, unless you find one where there's already a group in it to dive onto. Much in the same way that ganking works, which is another way for you to find combat. If you're roaming around by yourself or with a couple people, the chances are that you're going to bump into combat so long as you're not in your own territory. It's pretty consistent and easy to find small-scale combat outside of Wartimer, regardless of the time of day, so long as you're traveling enough zones for you to go there. If you feel like, man, I really don't want to go all the way across the map, you can hub skip. What that means is you can go into a hub and pop out of another door. So I can go into this hub in Strangler's Pass and come out in this door that is connected to it over here in Dying Canopy. So it is not as hard as you think to get across the map in order to find consistent PvP combat. Realistically, I think that, again, as long as you're roaming around doing other types of content, you'll find PvP. There's no arena style combat in this game other than the daily vein hold extraction, and even that I think is on a limited timer, so it's not something that can be done all day, which is kind of a drag. Hopefully this is something that they add in future iterations of the game, but for now, the best ways to find content are either during Wartimer, talking to your faction, or outside of Wartimer, getting a group of friends or doing whatever, going to do rifts and doing roams and doing small scale PvP like that. Hopefully this helps you get into some content. If you have any questions, guys, feel free to leave them in the comments. And please like and subscribe. I'm trying to grow the channel. As always, I'll see you in the next one.